Welcome to Formula.
Oh
Welcome,
God! Well,
welcome to
here we
F1
go.
Purple Rain with me, Dom.
And me, Ryan.
This is the most on time official podcast. I think it's going to be out if I can get it. It'll be out within a couple of hours of qualifying. So actually,
Like this is ridiculous. Like Ted's notebook is on my TV, and I am recording the podcast. This is unheard of.
yeah, this is as quickly as we've managed to do it. To be honest, we planned quicker, but yeah, I don't know if you can see Ryan. There's a child in the background on an iPad.
Yeah. It's like he
Class
hasn't
parenting.
moved. It's like a doll. It's just like a doll. He hasn't moved. He's just sat there.
Like class parenting. So at any point,
Halfway through, just expect Dom to go, "Will you shut up back there? I'm busy."
any moment now, we're playing with fire. I could have to end the podcast early.
So let's get straight into it.
He does look
Any
like
pre-qual? Yeah,
he does look like a mannequin, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just hasn't moved.
Good parenting. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So any quick pre-qualifying news?
Yeah, I have actually. Max Verstappen has come out and said that he might leave F1 if the new changes come into place with F1, which is interesting. Moving swiftly
Yeah,
on.
because yeah, Donald Kelly just keeps making like all loads of like random things up in his head. He's like, "Oh, I'll get rid of free practice. Oh no, I'll not get rid of free practice. I want to have rewards for practice, but we'll not call practice. There's too many practices. We should have sprint races every week." Yeah.
Basically, the sport is in a terrible place, and the FIA are scrambling to try and fix it. All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
look, to be fair, if they make changes and Max leaves, I'll not be too upset.
the question is if they make changes and Red Bull leave, that would be the best scenario.
My God, I will be delighted.
In other news, do you have other news as well, Ryan?
Nope. I don't think so. Do I? If I said you think I can't remember.
Fantastic.
I can't remember. I'm very tired this morning.
Oh, well, I don't know. Did we mention this earlier in the week with the pre-Australia or not about a certain person being in the paddock?
Oh, yes. So for people who are unaware, Michael Massey has been in the paddock this weekend as he is looking after another series of motorsport that also takes place this weekend. But he was just down about the paddock as if nothing was happening, he'd done anything wrong ever, was talking to drivers, having handshakes, and was embracing a certain Jonathan Wheatley, the man who convinced him to completely ruin the credibility of F1.
I didn't know how you were going to finish that sentence. I was quite enjoyed waiting for you to tie it up. Yeah, for those of you who don't know who Michael Massey is,
He's a prick!
he's the most controversial person in the sport after he basically decided that Lewis Hamilton wasn't going to be allowed to retain his 8th world championship because, I don't know, he was paid under the table. Good luck suing me.
Yeah. Good luck finding out who we are.
Oh yeah, it's really yeah. There's videos and everything of me online now. So good luck.
Yeah, good luck finding me.
Another news as well. There was something about the mechanics not being allowed to climb on the pit straight fencing.
Apparently, this has always been in the regulations. They've never enforced it. Like Jewelry Gate, they never enforced it. So Fence Gate seems to be crap that's head up. So we'll see if a certain team and driver wins this weekend. Will they enforce that regulation or just let it slide?
I mean, you mean like Jewelry Gate, where they kept saying they're enforcing it, but Hamilton keeps doing what he wants to do.
Well, should they keep the stewards keep releasing their jewelry thing every every race now, where Hamilton has to keep getting his all clear from the race stewards. So it'll be interesting to see if a certain team wins. Will they be like, oh no, you can't jump on the fence? Oh no, but you can, because you can just do whatever you want.
Have you also moving on from Fencegate? I like the FIA Fencegate, and it's nothing to do with fencing, as much as I wish it was. Have you also seen Horner has come out and made comments about Lewis Hamilton's comments?
Oh God, no, what he said.
I really gave a lot of information there. Did you hear that someone made comments about comments?
Did you hear that somebody said something, but someone else had said?
Welcome to F1 Purple Rain, where we just talk vaguely about everything.
yeah. We let you fill in the gaps. We let you fill in the gaps.
Basically, Lewis Hamilton came out and said that the RB19 is the most dominant fastest car he had seen in 17 years on the grid.
Yep.
Which way do you think Red Bull Horner went with this? Do you think he pointed the finger at Mercedes, or do you think he was flattered?
I think he pointed the finger at Mercedes.
So would I, but he was flattered.
Must be. So he tell me he's in a roundabout way agreed with what Lewis said?
I'll tell you what he said. He said he's describing them as flattering, especially from a driver with the recent history of Hamilton. A bit of on the
so a recent history. So is that a bit of a dig? I don't understand Christian Horner.
Well, it's obviously very flattering, particularly considering some of the recent cars that Lewis has driven in recent history. So it's less flattering.
But like everyone is taking Lewis's quotes out of context, and they're all going mental, saying how can Hamilton say this when he's had such dominant cars? He wasn't talking about he's still there. He was talking about just how fast they are with the DRS open in a straight line. That's what he was saying. If you read Lewis's quote, he said, "I've never seen a car that quick with DRS open."
Yeah. Well,
and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" If you seriously Lewis Hamilton's won races by a minute or 50 seconds, he's like, "Yeah, but he's not talking about
that." Yeah, it's all about context.
People are just changing the narrative to fit what their own stupid agenda, because they obviously don't like him. It's like, if you read and listen to what he said, it makes perfect sense. I've not seen a car that be as quick as the Red Bull with the DRS open. It's lightning quick with that DRS open.
Oh,
and especially with Australia. Especially Australia now having 4 DRS zones this year, so it's going to be extremely interesting.
No, exactly. I mean, I'll be interested to see how fast they are on these really high speed tracks. But I mean, they said it was the fastest track, wasn't it, Saudi? So let's see. I mean, it was mad. They were overtaking them like it was. One of them was driving a Mini Cooper, and the other one was driving an F1 car. So
yeah.
But we actually need to talk about qualifying. But I have 2 more points that we keep forgetting off our list of points to talk about, because we go on long rants.
Yep.
So we'll cover them quickly. We didn't mention VW, Audi, or Porsche are now all backed out of the sport, probably because the sport is in disrepair and Red Bull are running the sport at the moment.
Yeah,
that's that topic covered.
Yeah, nailed it.
Lastly, we forgot to mention the gender equal team.
Yes, so apparently there is talks of, instead of Audi, Porsche, and all the rest of the major manufacturers coming to the sport, there's now be a gender equal team. So it'll be 50-50 men and women.
I just cannot wait to see it. I mean,
that is all I'm going to say on that subject, because we don't want to get too much into how many genders there are, or should be, or could be.
How many there are.
Yep.
Yeah, moving swiftly on.
Let's go to the topic of this actual podcast, is the Australian qualifying.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe that I finished work last night at 10:30 and woke up at 6 a.m. to watch this.
I did manage to get bed a little bit early, but I was texting you and no replies. He's either already asleep and he's ahead of the curve, or he's at work. The latter.
So I I think that this is, I know we've only had, this is only the third qualifying year, but this is the best qualifying we've had this season. The most interesting qualifying we've had this season.
I concur.
It is like Jensen Button said, it was like it had rained during one half of qualifying, and then the track dried up because that's how the drivers were treating it.
Yeah, to be honest, I've not seen a session like this in a long time, especially considering it wasn't wet. It was just a cold, damp track, but it was fantastic. And it's not just because the result came in that close to what we want. It just in general, every session was really, really interesting to watch. The evolution was so mad that people just didn't come in for new tires.
Yeah,
Just
like usually see about like 5 or 6 minutes towards like the end of like the session, everyone's in the pits waiting, but they're all out just driving around. There was just constant traffic on the track.
and yeah, it was just a mad session. It was almost like the reason they brought in sprint races to give someone an actual session with all the cars on the track, because quite often people just sit in the garage and do the one lap and come back to the garage. But I mean, I've never seen as well a car come in and go back out with old tires on.
Yeah, like when like Lance Stroll, they're like, "Here, do you want some new brand new slicks?" He's like, "No, these scrubs are faster. I'll stay out. Thank you."
Like it's completely like remove the point of tires, but okay.
Yeah, it's like, who needs brand new tires? Because I'll be out on the scrubs. But like loads of people were like locking up. Loads of people were hitting like the curbs were still wet from when it had rained like this morning or last night. So people were just sliding off curves. There was a lot of drifting going on, which is always looks insane in an F1 car because it just looks so unnatural for the car, for a car
Yeah,
like that to drift.
it looks mad.
People were in gravel. People were in the gravel.
Anyone
People
in
were just getting
particular?
stuck behind everyone. Yeah. Just a certain Mexican was in the gravel.
Didn't he win the last race?
Yeah, it did, yeah. And he also locked up at the same point in FP3 as well. I went into the gravel. And he goes, you know what? I can't be arsed today. Into the gravel.
Fuck this.
And then straight away, blamed the car.
Yeah, I do like it. Well, if you don't blame the car quick enough, then the blame's on you.
Yeah, yeah. It must be like a millisecond. Just he's like, oh no, oh yes, this car's broke. Blah, blah, blah. Damn.
Unbelievable. I mean, he was the first car out as well, so it made for an
Yeah.
interesting session.
Yeah, well, that's another thing as well. Like he was out pretty early as well. You don't really see Red Bull out straight away.
No,
And
I
then
actually,
lo and behold, boom.
I
There he
actually
is.
think they messed their strategy up for the whole of qualifying, because a lot of cars went out for a double warm up lap, and that I think that hindered Max in the end, because I think Max was always going to get pole, but spoiler alert,
Spoiler.
Max was always going to get pole, but I think the cars were only so close because it was all about being on track at the last point, and I think that's why Mercedes had a pull the blinder. I still think Mercedes are a second behind, but they've had a fantastic session. So,
Yeah,
spoiler
I
alert.
think them just being out on track at the right time, like you said, has helped them massively. And obviously the evolution of the track. If it was a normal session, nobody would be anywhere near them,
No,
like
and
at all.
I think Aston Martin still would have been quicker as well. Yeah, but I mean, everyone was running off, wasn't there? I mean, Albon took a spin. Max also wasn't clean. He was over the curbs. People were
Yeah, there
really
was a lot of
struggling.
like a lot of people snapping quite a bit as well. And you've seen a lot of like corrections, like from like loads of drivers. You had Hamilton doing it, you had Verstappen doing it, Norris, he took a wee
Leclerc took
gravel
gravel.
run as well. Yeah, well, Leclerc shot gravel right up into Russell's face, just straight up there.
Dump.
Take some gravel stones.
Just proper Mario Kart.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, you take that out. But no, it was like proper. Like you had Logan Sargent as well. He had times deleted. He had to go back out again. No, it was weird seeing Williams. It's like every time Williams have a good qualifying, one car does well, and the other car is dreadful.
Well,
They
yeah,
never seem to get. We knew this last year when they had the Gotifi in the car. You know, he was always consistently out in Q1. Whereas like Albon was just pushing the car up and up, and you just you felt sorry for him. So like, how do you get any kind of information when one car is doing so well and the other car is
Well, this is a great point.
shocking?
Well, maybe they've got a broader spectrum of R&D scope because they can see what the car's like and with someone shit versus when it's someone decent.
Yeah, someone who can actually drive a car is doing well.
Well, you can see it's the difference between someone getting the seat with talent and someone getting the seat with money, can't you? So
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same situation as last year.
Bottas had a shocking qualifying. Well, Alfa Romeo in general had a really bad qualifying today.
Yeah,
Bottas came out and said that he literally he gave it his all. He goes, there was some traffic, but I gave everything in there, and he's 19th.
Yeah, that car's gone backwards.
Technically the slowest person on the track because obviously Perez didn't set a time.
Well, that car definitely has gone back in R&D for sure. I think they were quicker at the start of the season. I mean, last year they were really strong at the start, and it slowly went off. This is a huge drop off.
Yeah,
and
that's like they were like right up the top, and then now they're going down and down and down.
But I mean,
I think it could be they could struggle to get 8th for 7th, and the constructors think they'll be right down there.
Yeah, but first of all, they have to. I don't think they've got one concern, McLaren. I think that's no concern for anybody at the moment.
Yeah. So McLaren are going to be, they're just pish.
Yeah,
they're so bad.
Maybe they paid Danny Rick too much money to leave. To be honest.
Yeah. They're the payment out of their R&D budget.
Yeah, we don't want you next season. Here's your payout out of your contract. You're not doing very well. And he's looking around the garage thinking, you want me to you're paying me to leave this shit.
Leave. Okay. I'll also take your new R&D budget for next year. I'll take your wind tunnel time.
He's got their only win. That's what's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. He's got their only win. He just fucked him off. And now he's out there making YouTube videos and looking on Instagram.
Oh, he's just living the dream, isn't he? Just has to doesn't have to perform to any sort of target. He's not accountable for any sort of like anything. So he just needs to do R&D and simulations. And then he's
just on Instagram, just doing runs, just laughing. Did you see that he sneakily rubbed in to McLaren? He didn't like some sort of press, and he was driving an orange tractor.
No, I didn't know.
Hilarious. So yes, so Q1 we lost Perez. He obviously locked up into turn 3 and went into the gravel and then blamed the car. Then we had Bottas, who had a shocking qualifying, gave it his all, but is technically the slowest driver on the track. Then we have Logan Sargent in 18th.
Yeah, the millionaire driver.
Complete opposite of Albon. And then we have Guan Yu Zhou in 17th in the sister Alfa Romeo ahead of his teammate. And then we have in 16th Oscar Piastri.
Sorry, Piastri.
The local boy. Piastri, sorry. Oscar Piastri. the local Australian. Who, was quite poor actually. He did say that it may have been a bit of naivety on his bit of like an actual rookie mistake. They tweaked the front wing when he came in during Q1, and that didn't give him the performance he needed. So at least he's kind of admitted that, he's still learning, which is good to see. He will make mistakes this year. So yeah, that is the people that we lost in Q1.
Yeah, Q2 was also just as interesting. It was just the whole qualifying was absolutely mad. But what was really interesting to see was Albon and Hulkenberg during that session, who are flying in Q2. Like
Hulkenberg looked really strong. Like at times he was just sitting comfortably in the top 3 for ages, just sitting there. But he just went unnoticed. He would just be sitting there, he'd be like, because obviously they do little, like they were doing loads of warm ups. He'd be like 20 seconds down, then next thing you know, there he is in 3rd, just chilling. Like the man hasn't drove for years, and here he is, and he's been consistent this season.
I mean, his Q2 time was 0.2 quicker than his Q3 time, so that's huge.
He was great. Yeah, he done really well, to be fair. Really,
And
really well. Like he was in
Albon,
the 17s, like mid 17s.
and Albon just has the quickest middle sector every session, every lap. He still
Yeah.
finished with purple middle.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, Albon finished the day with a purple middle sector and a Williams. He was absolutely flying every single time. Every time he's seen his name pop up, it was just Albon middle sector purple, Albon middle sector purple,
I can't
purple,
wait.
purple.
I can't wait to see their car in like Monza sort of track, because basically that Williams runs as a zero downforce. Zero.
Probably by the time Monza comes along, they'll have no sponsors and no paint again. Just be running an absolute shell of a car just to make it faster.
Drivers then we lost in Q2 are Nick de Vries, who looked like he was having a pretty average sort of day out there, not very good. Magnussen, who just had nothing in terms of comparing to Hulkenberg. Norris, who I probably got the best. He probably got the best out of the car, considering.
Yeah, when they told him, they're like, "That's P13, Lando." He is like, "Yes, I know." He is not in a good place.
No, I think he leaves that team next year.
Mm.
He'll take he'll take the rest of the wind tunnel.
Yeah, yeah. He'll just be like McLaren will be like scraps. Next year, their wind tunnel will be like just a tube of like kitchen roll in middle with just a fan blowing into it. That'll be it.
Just a Pringles tube.
Yeah.
And Zach Brown.
Just to be mini fan.
No fan. They can't afford the electricity. Just Zach Brown
Zach Brown blowing. With a wee mini toy car in the middle. Just trying to figure out. It would be like one of the last remaining Lando Norris merchandise they'll have, just in there all beat up. Just
nice. Moving on. In P12, Sonoda. Who did you see him at the weighbridge?
No.
Oh, it's a mad. He's a pretty angry man. He's a pretty angry man as it goes, Yuki. But he's just losing his shit. Big big time. He was like proper losing it at the weighbridge. I think he could come in at the wrong angle and they kept telling him to reverse, and he was absolutely having like a fit in the car. A fit.
Well, no wonder, because reversing an F1 car isn't as easy as what people think. Those cars aren't really designed to go backwards.
Then coming in 11, Ocon, who missed out by 0.007. 0.007. So that is unbelievably close.
I don't think he was happy.
No.
Well, I think there was something to do with traffic, I think he was saying.
I think, well, you know what you need to do? Drive faster.
Yeah. Don't be slow.
But I mean, considering all the cars were on the track and there was 5 less each round, it felt like there was heavy traffic all the time.
Yeah, like a lot, yeah. Like Lewis got held up in Q3 by Hulkenberg when he got out of his way. Just driving in front of him, but like nobody had anywhere to go. Because everyone was just staying out.
Yeah, that looked madly being held up. I couldn't believe how bad he was held up. He was like, "Should I go then or not go?" And then he just cut the corner.
Yeah,
he was
just trying to get in,
do?
and he's like, "No, I can't get past." But Hamilton at one stage was on pole. I was like, "There's no fucking way he's going to get his 9th record pole at Australia," and obviously he didn't.
No, it does need to be a change in conditions, I think, to rein the Red Bull in. I mean, as always, Max was complaining about the drive shaft, which I think now is like Hamilton complaining about the tires are gone. I think it's Red Bull's version, so it makes Max look like he's still amazing.
Yeah, do you think Max's PR team have just watched all Hamilton's videos and been like, "Oh, he always complains about his tires," and then he
People-
wins.
Yeah.
And people say, my God, how do you drive with them tires?
Yeah.
Max, yeah, so every race now you need to complain about your drive shift and your gears and say that they're messed up and then win the race by about 1,000 miles. And everyone will say, my God, how did he do it?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because he proper complained, and then in the debrief at the end of the quali, he sort of brushed it off, and I'm like, well, which one is it, Max? Which one is it?
And then they asked Horner about it, and he was like, no, there was no issue.
Hmm.
Every driver just has he's like, no issue. What you're talking about is not what the problem was. Every driver has their own setup. So yeah, it was fine. And you're like,
I just don't believe anything comes out of that camp at all, ever. Apparently, in the last session, we were going to get rain. Last
yes,
4
yeah,
minutes.
The last minute was supposed to be rain. I didn't see rain.
Yeah, I didn't see any either. Classic. But it made all the teams panic. So everyone was on the track from the word go.
Yeah. Because Sainz was like, is there rain? They're like, yep, last minute science, but we really can't listen to Ferrari strategists because they're obviously all idiots. But yeah, Ferrari absolutely nowhere today.
No.
Starting 5th and 7th Ferrari.
You mean
just didn't look on it at all.
You mean the Italian McLaren?
Yes, yeah. They're, I think Ferrari bring out their own LED sponsors. So
they were awful.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, they're like whoever thought LED sponsors in an F1 car was a good idea. They must be like, this is the future. Oh no, McLaren are shit. That's it, done. But yeah, Ferrari, not great. Just didn't really seem anywhere near. Like Button was saying, we haven't seen the true pace of the Ferrari like all day, and you're like, even at the end, you're like, we haven't seen anything. Like there's the Ferrari, you would expect Ferrari to be quick.
Yeah.
But they're nowhere near.
Well, I don't think they have a quick. I think, well, when you look at they're rubbish. But when you look at the grid, I mean, you expect Aston to beat them. Aston have a quicker car this year. Aston beat them. You expect Mercedes to beat them. So actually, that's exactly where they should be. They are rubbish. They are 7th. And Sainz is lucky to get 5th, only because Stroll is not Alonso, and Perez went for a trip to the gravel for some reason.
Yeah, so if Perez was up there, then you're probably possibly looking at 6th and 8th, maybe, for Ferrari.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't expect, but as you said there, Aston Martin are quicker. Mercedes are looking better. And Red Bull are Red Bull.
I'm just surprised Sainz out qualified Leclerc. That was, for me, I think Leclerc's the faster driver.
Yeah, Leclerc didn't look on it today, though. Like, he didn't look on it at all. I think he went too early on his first run on Q3. I think because Sainz did a second warm-up lap and Leclerc was proper pushing. So potentially that might have something to do with it. But yeah, well, they weren't great today. But yeah, 10th, obviously we had Hulkenberg, who was flying, looking really good in that Haas car. You pointed out some Haas sponsors, which made you laugh.
I think Haas have the best sponsors on the grid with Palm Springs and Chipotle. So fucking American. All they're doing, they're missing Taco Bell, and they've got a full circle.
Yeah. Taco Bell, Wendy's, just
anyone that will take us.
Bud Light.
Maybe chuck in a Nando's as well while we're at it. Love it. Best sponsors on the grid for sure. None of this Splunt shit.
Yeah.
Splunt, if you're listening, I'll be happy to if you want to sponsor us with some LED screens.
Yeah. This is the F1 Put Round podcast brought by LED Screen, sponsored by Splunk.
Sounds too similar to something else. Came out.
Calm down. But yeah, no Hulk, really good. Really good. Coming in 10th. I love though when like smaller teams get into the top 10, they just sit in the garage for ages, just going, yep, no point of us going out. What are you going out? Set a time for a play to him. And yes.
I just want to take the conversation back 1 second. Do you think when we do get sponsored by some big corporation brand, we'll be like the Majesty Stadium or the Sports Direct Stadium, where we change our name based on the sponsor because we're that much of a sellout? So we'll be Splunked F1.
F1 Splunk.
I'm willing to change the name. Don't worry.
Yep. I'm willing to sell my soul for money.
Talking about sponsors and donations,
Just get me out of retail, people. Get me out of retail.
Get me out of retail. That should be the name of the podcast. Get me out of retail.
F1 get me out of retail.
Get me out the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Just quickly, while we're still on that subject, I just want to thank everyone else that has made donations, especially we had a sizable donation recently from Green Sheep. Big thank you. Anyone listening out there, please make sure you follow. You don't have to send us money, but just at least follow. That'd be great.
that is part of what you have. If you listen, you have to send me money.
That's part of Project Get Me Out of Retail.
Yeah. There is now a GoFundMe page. Yeah, called F1 Getting Out of Retail. Just please give us money to retire.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God, help.
That's the description in the bio. For the love of God, help.
For the love of God, get me out of here. I'm in retail. Get me out of here.
All right, moving back to F1.
Yes. So in ninth, Pierre Gasly. I think that's the first time he's made it to Q3 in Melbourne. I think he only ever been in Q2 twice before or once before. So big well done to Pierre Gasly and out qualifying his teammate. Possibly ninth was probably the best. Well, you laugh at
that. I laugh because I had the impression that you forgot his teammate's name.
Esteban Ocon. So he qualified Ocon, which is good for Gasly coming into a new team. And then we have in 8th place, Mr. Purple Sector in the middle, Alexander Albon. Very, very, very strong qualifying. Very, very good. 7th place, we have Charles Leclerc, poor showing from him. 6th place, we have Lance Money Stroll, Ivich. He separates the Ferraris for tomorrow. Probably the best he could do with his ability. 5th, we have Carlos Sainz, the faster of the two Ferraris today. In 4th place, we have Mr. I'm still not past 2007, Fernando Alonso.
Talking about 2007.
Yeah, I'll come up to that.
Okay.
Alonso also had a dig at Mercedes at the end of qualifying. He says that, yes, we expected Mercedes to be there, as they always talk about how bad their car is. And then Sainz was like, yes, I agree. Because they're both being interviewed at the same time. He says he doesn't know why Mercedes always play down their car when it's obviously good.
Well, no, because it's not on... Do you know why that is? And I can tell you, Alonso, if you're listening, because they want to win. And if it's not winning, the car's not good enough. Simple. They're not like you aiming for second. They're aiming for one.
Yeah.
And at the moment, there's a team that's a second ahead. So
so you need to shut up.
You want to keep aiming for below par. That's up to you.
Yeah.
Mercedes are a different breed, mate.
Yeah. And moving into the top 3 for tomorrow's race. In 3rd place, we have Lewis Hamilton, who said that he was actually happy with where he is in 3rd. He said obviously his 2nd lap in Q3 wasn't as good as his first one. As his first one, he was on pole. But he says that's what it is. He had a bit of traffic at the beginning and his first sector wasn't great, but he's not putting it down to that. He did say that tomorrow he is hoping for a Melbourne 2007 start. If you haven't watched that, by the way, please go and watch it. It's Hamilton's first ever start in F1. And it's just incredible. It is so good. For a rookie to do that, brilliant. So hopefully we'll see that tomorrow. Then in 2nd place, we have George the Enderman Russell. Mr. Not Mr. Oh, it's not too shabby. In second place. A good lap from George. Obviously, with mixed conditions, the Mercedes are closer to the Red Bull, but still not close enough. He put it down to maybe their jet lag program that they're on. And then we have in pole position his first ever pole in Melbourne. The guy who has all the issues with the car that don't exist is Mr. Max Verstappen.
I'm surprised you used his name. I was thinking you might go try and do a workaround.
It's too early in the morning. It's too early in the morning for me to start flying about with nicknames for him. For he should not be named. But no, yeah, they said it was tricky qualifying for Red Bull and Verstappen, but that car just needs one lap, and he opened up a massive gap, and nobody was getting close to him. So all in all, it was very predictable pole position, as I think anyone knew, expected that anyone but Red Bull would get it. I think obviously the big surprises of the day were Perez going out in Q1, Bottas not doing well, Hulkenberg up to 10th, Albon in 8th, and the Ferraris not being quick, and Mercedes look like they're getting there. If this is what Mercedes cars like without upgrades, we can only hazard a guess to what their car is going to be like once they bring in the upgrades to Imola, which they say are going to improve the car. So, it could be an interesting couple of races for Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Very interesting qualifying. Let's see what the race will be like. Is it going to be wet or not? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it might be dry. I do know that the Red Bulls are the only cars with 2 sets of hard tires, so that will come into play tomorrow. Everyone else only has 1, so that could be interesting. So they could probably go soft, hard, or something like that, or teams are struggling with mediums. But I think tomorrow, I probably think after maybe lap 3 or 4, Verstappen's going to be in clear on his own, far well ahead. He'll just have his own race, I think, tomorrow. I think the battle will be obviously Russell, Hamilton, Alonso. I think them 3 will pull away from everyone else. Them 3 could be an interesting battle. It'll be not too sure about Perez, how far he's going to get through the field. We've seen him do it before with different cars, but will he be able to do a Max Verstappen from Jeddah and work his way through the field as quickly? This track's not as quick as Jeddah. And if the conditions are anything like today, then it could be quite difficult for him to come from last. But I still think Perez will probably end up scoring points tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. I'll be interested to see the Mercedes battle tomorrow, how that plays out. And I'm hoping Hulkenberg can hold on to some points because he's deserved it. Yeah. His qualifying in the last two sessions have been great. So let's see.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think tomorrow might end up being Verstappen, maybe Russell. I don't know. It's tight. It's tight for third, I think. I'll say Hamilton. I'll go with the way the grid is now.
Okay. I'm going to go with my prediction for tomorrow. As we wrap this up, I will go Alonso, Hamilton, Russell. I don't think Max is going to win it. I think he's going to have an issue.
Interesting.
And I'm basing that on this stat that all drivers that got their 101th podium won the next race. I think that's the stat.
Oh,
every driver. I'll find the stat, the exact stat, and give you it tomorrow in tomorrow's podcast.
This could be something Dom's made up, but here we go.
Lastly, just quickly, because we need to wrap this up quickly. I just wanted to mention the birds that keep trying to die.
Yes, yeah. Stop it, birds. Get off the track and stop trying to get yourself slaughtered.
Oh, guys, thanks for listening.
Unless you're some birds who are wanting to get run over on the track today.
It's going to be an exciting race, that's for sure. Please follow and like. We'll put the videos up as well. And if you're not already listening via V4Fee app, please do so. It would help support us a lot using a V4Fee supporting apps. But please, more people that follow, the better. It's been a pleasure. That's been me, Dom.
For those who don't know what V4V is, Dom, can you explain quickly what V4V apps are? Because I, for one, who do this podcast, have no idea.
V4V is value for value. So it means it gives you the opportunity to do micro donations if you would like to when listening to us to help us support us making this beautiful podcast.
And if you don't want to do it that way, I will personally link my bank account details to the podcast.
your €1 will be emptied out by the end of the week.
Yeah. It'll buy me that bottle of water that keeps me going.
Well, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, we'll be back on tomorrow for the race podcast. It'll be slightly later on, as I will be working all day after the race, but we will have it out, hopefully, tomorrow night. This has been me, Ryan.
It's been me, Dom. Goodbye.
Bye.